And we return to the Talk Shop Citizens Comment during the Candidate Awareness Tour 2026. And we're visiting with Laura Pavey, citizen of Wyoming. And you gave in the prior segment, Laura, you gave us 4 important areas that were of critical importance to you. The first, property taxes. The second, land and handling of those and being heard in the state of Wyoming. The third, you spoke about the race for data centers and nuclear in Wyoming. And then education, parental rights, also in your list of 4. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. When we left off, you were telling me about your views on property taxes. Are you not concerned with the People's Initiative, should that pass, that entities like police, fire, uh, government would be underfunded in critical areas in your community?
Well, I think those should be funded first, always. Um, I'm not concerned with those. Those are considered essential services. And constitutionally, they have to be fully funded. But I do think that our government needs to look at some of the things that we are funding. Is that the proper role of government to be funding certain things that they're funding?
As a citizen of Wyoming, what areas do you specifically think could be looked at with specificity to save and provide more for you and your family with more money retained in your pocket?
Well, I think that if there's more money in my pocket, that goes and circulates more in the community. Um, as people spend money on groceries, that pays for the people who are employed by the grocery stores, who then use that paycheck over and over and over again. So that money will be circulated more in our community rather than just, one-time shop to the property tax,
So
and then
what
to
would
our
you
government.
I'm sorry to interrupt. What would you say to friends or neighbors that are considering a property tax initiative, voting for or against? What would you say to them as their neighbor or their friend, perhaps even your family, going forward to November 3rd, where that initiative will be on the ballot?
Well, I would refer them back to our founding fathers and the what we fought for in the beginning when we were being taxed. Um, I think that our taxes, our government, unfortunately, has become too reliant upon taxing the citizens, and our property isn't our property. If we can lose it to property tax liens, I've seen far too many people in our community and the rest of Wyoming lose their houses because of property tax liens. Um, I think that there was around 80 um, in Sweetwater County this last time that I looked, that their properties were going up because of the property tax liens that they owed. And that people shouldn't, they'll never own their home if we're constantly being strung armed by property taxes.
How did you feel as a citizen signing the petition to put this initiative on the ballot in November, that
Uh,
current elected officials weren't representing that in the legislature, the actions of the legislature while that initiative was going on? The people were forced to have a required number of signatures in order to get that topic voted on across the state.
well, I think that it's a very important part of our Wyoming Constitution, being able for the people to bring forth initiatives. So I'm very thankful that that is in our Wyoming Constitution. We are a part-time legislature in Wyoming. So sometimes there's so many bills, and I know that there were attempts to get property tax relief, but this was the people's voice demanding something happened. And they have been working on property tax relief in the legislature now, but I think that it's time for the people to be able to vote on it as a whole of the state. Does
As
that make
you
sense?
Yeah, that does. And as you mentioned, public lands were also a topic that you wanted to visit on.
Yeah.
Tell us about that from your perspective.
Um, so you hear a lot of public lands being sold off or not sold off. Um, my concern is with our public lands, what I've heard about like nuclear storage waste. Um, there was House Joint Resolution 3 that they say that those who voted yes in it don't support energy, but that one was, do we want to store nuclear waste in our state? And it was to put the vote to the people on our ballot on whether or not Wyomingites want to store nuclear waste. And I, for one, I don't want to be a waste facility for nuclear waste. I think that there's a corner crossing issue that they've been trying to work on. I think that Bien could get that. I think that he can bring people together and get some things accomplished when it comes to concerns about public lands right now.
You talk about Brent Bien, candidate for governor in Wyoming this primary, seeking the Republican nomination. He faces uh, Kurt Blake of Centennial, Wyoming, Megan Degenfelder, and Eric Barlow in this Republican contest. Those opponents, what distinguishes Brent Bien for you in this election cycle that you have that confidence in Brent Bien going forward?
He connects and listens to the people. I think that there's something um, amazing. There's nobody like Brent Bien. I met Brent Bien back in 2021 during COVID, and he has never not called me back. He's become somebody who will research. If you bring a situation up to that man, he will research it inside and out and find out where the inefficiencies lie and where the problem is and where the problem began. And I think that that's admirable because he doesn't just know the information because somebody's telling it to him. He knows it because he's dug into it himself. When I look at Barlow's voting record, I'm not impressed with it. And when I look at, unfortunately, what Megan has done as current superintendent of public instruction, nothing carries a ton of weight. I don't see her accomplishing the goals that she said that she did. And I have seen Brent launch a ballot initiative and follow it through and get it on the ballot. The guy works tirelessly for something that he believes in. And he never, there's no can't in his vocabulary. He sees the mission and follows it through to completion. And it's not just good enough. He makes sure that it's the best that it could possibly be in everything that he does. And watching him the last 5 years, I've seen that in everything that he does, in every step of the way. If he makes a promise, he'll drive all night to keep a promise. So I just have a lot of faith in him.
When it comes to legislative experience, what makes you comfortable that he will make a difference differently than anybody else in the gubernatorial race?
Well, I don't think that it takes somebody who has been in government. I don't like when I hear that he hasn't paid his dues. Why do you have to pay your dues in order to run as governor? That's not what our Constitution says, right? Right? It takes hard work, understanding our Constitution, understanding the Wyoming Constitution, understanding the people. That's what makes a great governor. I don't think that I know, I won't say I don't think, I know that a great governor doesn't have to be somebody who's been in the political realm forever.
As you went on, you talked about the race for data centers and nuclear in Wyoming, and if you don't mind Talk talk a little bit about that specifically. Data centers. What's your thought? Are you for or against data centers in Wyoming?
I wouldn't say that I'm for or against them. I would say that I think of the data center right now as like the gold rush. Every single state across the United States is pushing for data centers. And I think that Wyoming, we shouldn't just jump on the bandwagon. We should make sure that it's right for Wyoming and to make sure that there's a good plan in place and good protections in place when we bring it in, if we do. There just needs to be thought put into it. And I think that Brent will make sure that if data centers come to Wyoming, that there's a lot of thought and we have made sure that the concerns of the citizens are addressed and fail safes have been put into place.
And with respect to your fourth topic, education and parental rights, what do you have with respect to that? I assume you are a parent, and I don't know of how many children, but talk about that and why that's of utmost importance to you in the consideration for the gubernatorial race.
So I am a proud mom of three kids. I had one son go completely through the public education system. He went to college and struggled there for a little bit, even though he was a top student. I don't think that he was prepared for college through his public school years. I'm homeschooling my other two, and their well being was far more important to me than them being socialized in a public school setting. And I think that parents should have the right to be able to public school their child or homeschool their child. But I do think that parents need a seat at the table. I was at the grocery store this morning and just school's getting ready to start. And just walking in the grocery store this morning, there was two separate parents in the grocery store already having troubles with the schools. And school hasn't even started yet. And it's sad to me that we have entered a time when you hear more sadness when talking about public schools and kids going back to school than you do about loving our public school system. Brent will have, when elected governor, he'll have a role in public education, because he'll be able to help direct our state. He'll help put people on the state board of education, and he really understands that children are struggling with their mental health. He wrote an article in Cowboy State Daily that I really appreciated. Kids are struggling academically. Our schools are not performing to the best of their ability. And it's not the teachers. He knows that teachers are great, but he sees the inefficiencies that are happening in education. And he's got a lot of points that I've listened to him talk about with ideas on how we can make our public education system better.
Laura Pavey, our guest today on the Citizens Comment here on the Talk Shop. You, Laura, have expressed four topics. Have others come to your mind as we visited it? As you don't want to go without mentioning them as your important considerations for the governor's race or all state races in Wyoming.
I think of when Brent talks about the state seal, how important that is. Agriculture. We need to help our growers. We need to quit strong arming them so that they can actually grow and make a profit on their businesses. He talks about their suicide rates, and that is very real. And he talks about our industries, our mining industries. He's talked about repealers that he'd like to see happen, like the carbon capture repealer. And I think that is extremely important because our industries will bring in revenue to the state and ease the burden on the taxpayer. And I know that I live in a mining town, a mining community, and it disheartens me to see how many layoffs come every single year when there's no need. Our mines should be flourishing, and they're not because of all the hoops that they've put on top of them. And I think that Brent will help come up with solutions in that area, and he has solutions.
What makes Brent Bien different for you, perhaps, than any administrator serving in the gubernatorial capacity thus far in our history, perhaps, or not for a long while?
He's the first governor that I've seen in a very long time. I'm going to get choked up on this one. That wants to be a steward of the people. He doesn't want to do it because it's some gain or a pin on his lapel or anything. He wants to do it because he wants to serve the people. Listening to him and watching him listen to the people, he truly wants to be a steward of Wyoming. He is not doing it for himself. He's doing it for the people. And I just think that that's what sets him apart. He's not doing it because it's a dream of his. He's doing it because he knows in his heart that this is what he's supposed to do. This is the path that he's supposed to be on. And he wants to help as many people as he can in Wyoming because he loves Wyoming so much. And he wants to see a change.
Laura Pavey, you've been amazing. I appreciate you joining us. What did
I'm
you?
so nervous. I've never done a Zoom like
If you were to have any citizen in the state of Wyoming ask one question of the gubernatorial candidates, provided they showed up, what would that question be that you would recommend be asked to each and every candidate for Wyoming's governor?
That's a big one. So there's something that I thought was really amazing about Chuck Gray, real quick. And it was that he gave me his personal phone number. Brent Bien did the same thing. He gave me his personal phone number and he answered the phone. He answers the phone. Will that governor answer the phone? Will they answer those emails? Or will they put it off on somebody else? And will they be accessible to the citizens and listen to the citizens above the associations? And so who will they listen to the most? That would be my question. When you're asking a governor, who will they listen to the most? Will it be the people, or will it be the people who are telling them to listen to the things that they're supposed to listen to?
That topic alone usually brings up conversations about following the money. If you were to talk about the funding of each of the gubernatorial candidates from the 2026 primary election cycle, Brent Bien not on top. How do you feel about that?
I love that. Because he isn't beholden to any money. He is, everybody who has given Brent a dime has done it because they wanted to, not because there was phone calls happening of asks and wants, and I need more money. Will you donate to my campaign? Everybody in Brent's campaign has been 100% grassroots. And I think that speaks volumes. And I think that it changes the trajectory of our elections because there's too many, I'm not going to say dark money, but too many big time money goers who influence the elections. And I think that I'm so sick of money being the number one influencer on who's going to win. I like to see the underdog win. When my friend ran, she was told she would need $80,000 to win. And she did it with a fraction of that because hard work is far more important than money every single time.
Laura Pavey, anything else you'd like to add as we close this citizen's comment from you in the great state of Wyoming?
Um, I just would ask our Wyoming people to lead with compassion. We've seen a lot of hate and a lot of nastiness going on, and that's not who we are. So I would say research, don't just look at the mailers, and be kind to one another, and take a beat, and not be angry at somebody for not voting for your candidate, because we live in Wyoming and we live in America, which makes it great that we get to pick our own candidate. So I guess it's not about the campaign. It's just more about being kind.
I can't thank you enough for joining the talk shop. Your time, most valuable. The fact that you invested it with us here at the talk shop, most appreciated. Best wishes to you. Have you voted yet?
No, I'm going tomorrow so that I can get my little sticker and take my kids in. I wait every year to go the day of the election.
A traditionalist, election day only, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, well, Laura, most appreciate you. Thanks so much for joining us. This segment brought to you in part by Brent Bien for Wyoming Governor. We appreciate you joining us. Laura Pavey, you have any other comments, and otherwise we'll wave goodbye.
Bye. God bless.